us. Justin was hollering to the non-respect that. He just, and so
Rebecca,
Justin,
this
so
is
it was,
we're talking about this like about a song, but I really want, I'm not trying to tell you to go back to that song. I actually used to hear this song he'd play, he had his album. And this one is, remember how he talks about that Social Security?
Oh yeah.
yeah.
Oh yeah. So it turns out it's called Big City.
Big City. Sunny loves the
So
song.
we could look up the lyrics for that so that
Big City
everybody
lyrics.
can look up on their own songs. It's too loud for me, too loud. I'm tired of this dirty old city. And tired to work and never enough play. I'm tired of these dirty old sidewalks. Think I want my steady job today. Steady free, somewhere in the middle of Montana. Get all I got coming to me. And keep your retirement and your so-called Social Security. Big city, turn me loose and set me free. Oh, I love it.
This is the
Does that
two-step.
make you think dab a lot?
Two-step round table. I know.
Social Security.
Working every day since I was 20. Haven't got a thing to show for anything I've done. There's folks who never work and they got plenty. I think it's time some guys like me had some fun. And you set me free somewhere in the middle of Montana. And you got coming to me. And keep your retirement and your so-called Social Security. Big city, turn me loose and set me free. Big city, turn me loose and set me free.
we're all with you, Dad.
That's right.
Oh,
That's Virginia, Blue Ridge Mountains, Shenandoah River.
bitch.
Older than the trees, younger than the mountains, growing like a breeze. Country roads, take me home to the place I belong. West Virginia, Mountain Mama, take me home. Country roads, all my memories gather round her. Miner's lady, stranger to blue water. Dark and dusty, painted on the sky. Misty taste of moonshine, teardrops in my eye. Country roads, take me home to the place I belong. West Virginia, Mountain Mama,
know is, I'd rather be in a deep dark
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
and than to sell my soul.
And the other?
The other one is loving you. Elvis Presley's loving you. Everybody will know that. So
So
which
do
ones
you
like?
think that the first one you just said is still a singable song that we would get once we heard it?
Let me find out.
Oh, here we go.
We can sing.
I'd rather be in a deep dark grave and know that my poor soul was saved than to live in this world in a house of gold and deny my God unto my soul. What good is gold and silver too if your heart's not good and true? Sinners, hear me when I say, fall down upon your knees and pray. And to live in this world in a house of gold and deny my God and sing my soul. What good is gold and silver too if your heart's not good and true?
That's the wrong note.
Oh,
Sinner, hear me when I say, fall down upon your knees and pray.
well, Cindy has a story of how she found
really short
Dad and
story.
found us.
Oh yeah, here, let's hear that. Yeah, I was, like when I was grown, in my 20s, my husband Wayne at the time said, you know, you've been wondering about your dad, why don't you try to find him? And I said, well, how in the world would I go about that? So, on the internet, I had found out that he was living somewhere up north, and I don't know if it said Pioneer or what, but I did an online search for him, and it said something about Pioneer. So he goes, why don't you place an ad in the newspaper? And so I put, looking for my father, Jimmy Doyle Hill, born 11/4/38. If you know or have heard from him, please call me, collect, Cindy, and I gave him my phone number. And it wasn't a couple of days until Dad actually called me.
Really?
Yeah.
He said, is this really Cindy? And I said, yes, it is.
Wow.
I said, wow, you're looking for me. Like, it was nice to hear from me all that time, and I had wondered about him my whole life, and it was so amazing, and I finally got to meet him, because, you know,
Your dad.
because I was only like, you know, under 2 the last time I knew
And your
about him.
sister.
Yeah.
You gained 3 sisters.
And yeah, at the same time I found out that I had 3 sisters by his second marriage, and so we got together, and here we all are today talking about Dad.
Yeah.
And
For Dad and Mom.
do you remember the story of how he found out?
No, you tell.
I know
Well,
that story.
He wasn't he? Was it Denny's?
Denny's in Jackson.
Yes.
Oh
He was
yes.
sitting in Denny's in Jackson, and the waitress had read it in the newspaper
Really?
and knew him.
And Dad came home that day with the ad in his hand, and he said, look at this. What do you think? I was outside, he was driving up the driveway, and he stopped me and rolled his window down, and he says, Laura, you've got to see this. What do you think? Should I call her? Is it really her? And I said, well, there's only one way to find out. You have to call and find out. So he called her, and then she...
Did you know you had a sister?
I knew I had a sister. Yeah, we all did.
But the thing is, Dad never talked about her, and I forgot.
I
Yeah.
knew somehow
You forgot
he
about
did
Cindy?
talk about
Yeah.
Cindy.
I was
He would
totally
say,
shocked when
right.
she came into the
He would
picture.
say, I have an older daughter named Cindy. I haven't seen her in years.
You know what's weird about that is all my life I thought I might have a brother somewhere that I didn't know. But I had no idea I had 3 sisters.
Wow.
I have a half brother.
And I remember when we met now.
You remember what?
When we met.
When we met when?
It was shortly after you guys had united, and we went to the Ventura Pier. You guys remember that?
Oh, I remember.
I have
going to the
pictures.
pier.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. That's when
Yeah.
when you'd come in. How long ago was that then?
The
That was
pier,
about
it
10 years ago.
seems like that
10
was.
years ago.
2004.
So that was
2004.
Really?
Or 3.
It had to be 3 because
Yeah, or 3.
yeah,
Okay.
because in 2004 in March we moved to
Okay.
Northern California.
Okay. So,
And we
yeah.
had time to go see you in Bakersfield.
Right,
You
okay.
would come to hang out with us at our house.
Okay, so it was sooner than I thought.
No,
But yeah, so 2000.
so cool.
You wanted to know what was that like? Like, did they come to the door? Who all was there?
Who opened the door?
He wants the play-by-play.
I want the
I don't remember the
play-by-play.
The first time we
play-by-play.
met you, wasn't that the time when Mom was with us or something? And,
I honestly
and or your mom was coming.
not remember.
You,
No, I don't
oh, I
think
do. You
so.
told us to hide in the other bedroom because your mom was visiting you that day.
Oh, the first time you met.
When you
She
met my
came up to
mom.
Pioneer first.
Oh, she did.
To
Okay.
meet up with
Yeah.
Dad. Yeah. Yeah.
And
Tell that story.
you were really nervous
Well, I
about
don't
your mom
remember. I
finding
just
out
remember that she came and we were all
knew us.
together. And
We
we
told you to hide in the
yeah.
bedroom, and I was standing there about 30 seconds, and I went out there to meet Lynn myself.
Interesting. Yes, I remember.
I wanted to meet her. I
There's a
thought,
story
how,
when I was there,
how
I
can
don't
she
know.
not love us? I love her already. I'm going to go talk to Lynn.
Were all 3 of us there? Was it all 3 of us?
Yeah.
It was? Okay.
I think it was all 3 of us.
I think I remember being there for that.
Yeah.
Huh.
But I heard Cindy like trying to stutter and tell her mom something about who might be in the other room, and I thought, forget this, I'm going to go talk to Lynn right now. Remember it came out? It said, we're not hiding
I'm
in
not
here.
hiding
Sounds
here
like you
anymore.
are forgiven.
You're gonna come out with the whole story.
That's so cool, Rebecca.
What was that like?
I never got to
She was
meet her.
sweet. She was a very
Did I?
sweet woman. Very
Did I
beautiful,
meet her?
blonde hair. She was so cute.
I'm like in a picture
You
of
were
her, right?
in the
was- she was
front
kinda
yard
quiet.
at
I
my
didn't-
house.
Okay.
Yes, she wasn't upset.
That must have been kind of weird for her. Was that?
Yeah.
I mean, she didn't care, right?
No, no.
So that was never her choice. That you never got to meet your dad, right?
Just
Or did she? Was she just kind of relieved
still
that
are.
you never did?
No, she never really wanted me to know him.
When I was about 14 to about 18, I really looked up to Jim. He's about 8 years older than me. And he was into photography a little bit, and he actually taught me a few things. I asked him questions. I was doing darkroom printing, black and whites, and I had this what they called a ferrite plate, which is for glossing prints back in those days. You put them face down on this plate and roll them out with a roller, and I was having trouble getting the air bubbles out of the way of the picture, and they weren't drying well. So Jim had some suggestions, and he says there was that issue, and there was also an issue when I would process my negatives, they would have spots on them. So Jim described something, and he actually used the wrong term. It was kind of a made-up term. I discovered later there's another term for it, but he says you can get a thing called a drying agent, and it's actually called a wetting agent. And he described to me that it coats your film so that there's no drops on it, and it will dry spot-free. So he taught me that, and he said to try it with the prints as well. I told you about the tape recorder, you know, how he kind of helped me with that. When they moved to Oregon, I made a trip to Oregon. The generator in my Plymouth went out. It used to go out all the time. It went out on the way to Oregon, so I got there running on battery only. Well, Jim was working at Chrysler Plymouth. So I pulled the generator. He had a shop in his garage, I think, there in Oregon, and he fixed my generator. There were a lot of things like that. I would tell him problems I'm having with my Plymouth, and there were two main ones that I'm remembering right now. One was all of a sudden I had like 20 pounds oil pressure, and I'm supposed to have 40. And mechanics that I talked to would say generic things like, well, it's old, it's a combination of things, jack up the radiator cap and drive something else under it, you know, insulting things like that. Jim said that and he worked, I don't think he was working at Chrysler Plymouth yet, but he knew about cars. He says on the side of the block there's a thing called an oil pressure release valve. When you first start up a cold engine, the oil pressure is too high, and this release valve, he described it to me, is like a little mini piston with a spring. And the excessive oil pressure will compress the piston and allow a bypass to allow the excess pressure to go by, and it'll keep it down to 40 pounds. So he pointed out exactly where it was, and it's an easy bolt to unscrew. And I took the thing apart, and lo and behold, there was a broken spring in there and a little piston.
So good. Yeah.
So I went to Chrysler Plymouth downtown. 37 cents it cost for the kit with the spring. And I replaced that piston, and I had 60 pounds pressure.
Wow.
And then one time he was working on my car, and he decided to strike a match under the hood for better lighting. I had the oil cap off of the oil breather, and suddenly it caught fire. There was a flame coming out of the oil breather pipe, and I kind of freaked out a little bit. I kind of backed off, and Jim just took a look at it. He was so matter of fact, and it seemed like he knew how to handle any situation, and that certainly was the situation. He just goes,
That's great, man. That's totally great.
What was his words though?
Shortly after the divorce, it was like mid-70s, Jim was living in San Jose, and I went to see him, and I drove to Plymouth, and I think I probably had something to ask him about Plymouth, but I remember he was doing something quite dangerous, and it might have been for his own car. I'm not sure if it was for his car or if it was for my Plymouth, but he was standing on the bare frame of a car with one foot on each part of the frame, and he had battery cables, I think, in his hand, and he was trying to do something, and he made the comment, "I've got to be careful not to cross these cables the way I'm standing, or I could get nice and killed." But that didn't stop him from going on with what he was doing.
Wow.
I mean, and he finished the task. And then much later, back in the 90s probably, I had got my Plymouth running again, and Jim was in town, and so we went to Denny's on Madison Avenue. And because my generator, as usual, wasn't charging, we thought we should leave the car running so it would start when we get out of Denny's. And so we were sitting there with our coffee, and someone came, and some guy came in and said, "Is that your Plymouth out there? It's overheating." And so Jim and I simultaneously went like this. We walked briskly out to the Plymouth, and Jim took care of it. He did what the proper things to do. I think we got it to a gas station and started running water into it and did all this to cool it down. So, I mean,
Yeah.
Becca, what did you do with the photo album in the photos?
We're right here.
So-
Okay, I just
the story.
so
I'm protecting
one
you, that's all.
more thing.
Here if you're not watching, you're listening, looking, whatever.
Last year, I mean, all the years that I drove that car, and I put like 300,000 miles on it, and in all those years, I did fixes for my car. It used to cost about $750 for a carburetor or a fuel pump or anything like that for the car, or I'd go to a wrecking yard and pay $5 to get a generator. I bought 17 generators for that car.
Wow.
And I think it was 7 regulators. It was not an efficient system. But in 2017, I had told myself when I get to be 70, I'm going to fix that car and get it back on the road. So I spent over $10,000 in 2017 resurrecting that car mechanically. They were not $750. It wasn't $750 for a part. It's like $250 to even blink at the car for any part. And I spent all that money and got it running. So my plan was to get it down, take Jim for a ride.
Didn't make it. I don't think over the last several months, I don't know. When's the last time you were able to take Dad to Denny's, Becca? he hasn't been really mobile.
We went,
But I'm,
we went with, who am I thinking? Oh, it was Yvette and I that took him to Denny's in Newbury Park. That might be it. It was
But
when he
I'm pretty
when
sure
he
I
lost
told-
his glasses. He thought he left his glasses inside Denny's, and he wouldn't rest until I found those glasses. And I had gone to the car already. She walked him out. So, but I went back in there and drove those people nuts up there. I was looking under almost every table to try to find the glasses. And when we finally gave up, I gave them my card. They were going to mail me the glasses if they ever found them. And so when we got home, though, you know, as usual, I'm cleaning out the car of anybody's stuff that's in it, and there were the glasses between the passenger seat and right behind his seat. So they were somehow in his hands. So I said, Dad, I found your glasses. You did?
Everybody loves him.
Oh, how long ago? Yeah, so I would say probably. Well, he was gone a month. So
was
I'd
that
say 2
before
months.
I came here?
You're the camera.
Like I came in June, first week in June or something. Because he was having that pee problem.
Yeah, I would say it was around that time. And maybe
The last time.
yeah.
So I'm just.
Do you have more stories?
I didn't know how long he's been immobile and all, but for the last couple of months,
yeah.
probably wouldn't worked.
Well, I'm pretty sure he's heard all of those stories over the years. I'm pretty sure I've told them all to him. But, and I was going to try to bring it down here, but I figured that was this hot. I didn't want to take it over the grapevine. That was the big thing. But when I get back to Sacramento, while you guys are still here, as I was saying last night, I want to get as many as we can get together and do it for Jim. Take a ride in the Plymouth.
Yeah.
Okay.
Go to Denny's.
We would really love that.
Okay.
Thank you, Uncle Rollin.
You know what's weird is I work for Chrysler now.
Really?
That is really
I work
weird.
for Chrysler now. That's what's weird.
That's
Yeah.
great.
Now you can think.
You're a salesman, though, right?
Yeah.
Think about
Chrysler went out of style a little bit, but Dodge, Jeep, Ram is under the same umbrella. But they still make Chrysler Pacificas and whatnot, but the Plymouth is long gone.
Is it really?
Yeah.
Well, there's no more Plymouth anymore.
No, they don't produce the Plymouth.
It was 2008, right? When,
Well, they were
So yeah.
they were much of the car that were actually.
You gotta go.
You want too much for tar?
I didn't think so.
No.
which was his favorite change?
I remember that jacket.
So cute.
So much hair.
What in the world is this, Cherry?
That was that hair frame.
Oh, okay.
My hair went really.
In San Luis Obispo. Yeah, Jerry mom. Yeah.
Yeah, they're soon.
Yeah. What's up?
Yeah.
Oh, here's real. I wanted you.
Are you guys going to be around for a day or two?
Is this
All right.
Kathy or Kelly?
I never reversed, so.
Okay.
Let me get closer.
You were a young teenager, and I was not.
Yeah,
I
that's
was really boring.
He was
And what?